Hello, my name is Josh. In this time of lockdown, we're all looking for new and exciting things to do to help pass the time, to help enrich ourselves. And I thought I would give you guys a brief introduction into juggling. So the pattern I'm going to teach you how to juggle today is called the 3-ball cascade. Now, you don't necessarily need to use balls because not everybody has access to juggling balls, but there's lots of different things around the house that you can use. A simple one is limes or lemons, anything round. You can even use bean bags if you happen to have access to some bean bags. What's important is that they're not too large. Ideally, you can hold all 3 objects in one hand. So before we get started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the history of juggling. Juggling has been around for a very, very long time. There are ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs of people juggling, and it has been a pastime for many cultures for thousands of years. It's an excellent way to engage both the right side and the left side of your brain, and it's really rewarding. Even a small feat of juggling, if you've never juggled before, seems like a tremendous amount of accomplishment. It is not particularly difficult. It just requires practice. It looks a bit like magic, but to be perfectly honest, it's much easier than most people think it is. So before we begin, I want to make sure that I set you guys up for success, and what's really important is to do this in a space where you can move around, where you're not going to hit anything, and it really helps in the beginning to start with a bed underneath you. This way, when you drop an object, it's going to fall on the bed. It'll save you from having to pick something up off the floor. Also, things won't roll away from you. So you're set up, you've got 3 objects of some kind. You want them to be equal weight and equal size. You've got a bed in front of you. The next thing you need to do is visualize where these objects are going to be moving when they leave your hands. So the way to do this is you need to pick a point that's about a forearm's length above your shoulder with both hands and about 6 inches in front of your nose. So you put your hands in front of your face like this and imagine that on each palm is an invisible X. Now these points in space, those are your target points that you want to throw the balls to. Juggling this 3-ball cascade pattern is really doing the same motion over and over and over and over again. So the way in which we start this motion is we start with 1 ball. Got this white ball here. I want you to follow this white ball and remember that there's 2 points in space that I'm trying to hit with this white ball. So the first thing you want to do is set yourself up. Your hands are going to be right around the area of your belly button, and you just want to throw. That's it. Back and forth. You want to be able to get a consistent parabola. That's a nice upside down U shape or a mountain, back and forth from one hand to the other. Now, it's probably easier to start with your dominant hand and just do that. Once, I know this seems really rudimentary and maybe even too easy for you guys, but once you can do this move with one hand really consistently, then you can move on to the next hand. Now, what's important here is not to be looking at your hands when you're throwing the ball. You really want to keep an eye on where the ball is moving through space. So once you get it down with your right hand leading, then you can start again with your left hand leading. Now this is going to be challenging for some of you, and it's really important to just take your time to master this step. This is the fundamental move in this juggling 3-ball cascade pattern. So once you've mastered this, and this could take anywhere from 10 minutes to maybe a couple hours, and don't stress yourself out, but you have to master this one step in order to move forward. The most important thing about that first step is consistency. You need to be in control. If you're chasing the ball around and running to catch it, you won't be able to move forward to the next step, which is simply throwing 2 balls in the cascade pattern. So I'm going to throw the first one up to that invisible point that I set. Once it hits this apex, I'm going to throw this next ball right underneath it to the opposite apex point. It looks something like this. Now you can see I'm leading with my dominant hand, which is my right hand, and you want to practice this way. You want to start with your dominant hand and just do this move over and over again. It's okay if you throw the ball a little bit higher as long as you achieve consistency. Lead with your right hand, and I drop balls all the time. That's part of this process, is you are going to drop, so don't be upset about it. That's why you don't want to juggle with something like eggs. So I'm leading with my right hand, and once I get consistent, then I can switch hands. Leading with my right hand, feeling pretty good about that. Now you're going to switch to your less dominant hand and do the same thing. So, leading with my left hand, and remember, you're always throwing underneath. That is the pattern. So once you've completed this, and you can consistently do this 2-ball juggle with both hands, meaning you can lead with the left hand and go under with the right, and then also lead with the right hand and go under with the left. Once you can consistently do that, you're like 80% on the way to being able to juggle 3 balls. This next part you have to do in stages, and it might be very frustrating. It might take you anywhere from a couple hours to even a couple days to be able to do this consistently. But if you persevere, the first actual juggle you make will be this kind of magical moment, and it will only improve fairly rapidly from there. So, in order to do the 3-ball juggle, you're going to start again with your dominant hand. And I'm a right-handed person, so I'm going to put 2 balls in my dominant hand and 1 ball in the left. And we're simply going to throw one up from the right side, followed by the left side, which is step 2, the 2-ball juggle. And then once that second ball gets to its top point, I'm going to do the right hand again. So it looks like this. That's one juggle. You'll notice that when I started, I had 2 balls in my right hand, and when it ended, I had 2 balls in my left hand. So again, it looks like this. That's it. So you're going to practice this move, and that is one juggle. Once you can consistently do this, you're going to switch and lead with the other hand. Now again, it's just going to take practice. It's okay to be frustrated, and just keep trying. Keep it in control, and try to remember that you want the balls in a 2-dimensional plane in front of you. You don't want to have to be moving forward and backward to catch the balls. You want your hands to be fairly close to your body. So once you've mastered the juggle, starting with your dominant hand, you're going to switch to your less dominant hand. So again, this is me from the right side first, and now from the left side. Right side, left side. Right side, left side. Once you put them together, you're juggling. So the right side, and then the left side. right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side. And then before you know it, you're juggling. Now in the beginning, as you juggle, it's going to be not so consistent. It's going to be all over the place, and there's nothing wrong with that. Once you can consistently get this cascade pattern going on, you might want to try to move around a little bit. You can walk away from where the camera is. You can walk into where the camera is. You can turn around slowly. But again, you want to try to keep the balls in a two-dimensional plane in front of you. It's not going to help if you're juggling kind of forward and back. That's just going to make it much more challenging. So once you've gotten to this point, you're juggling. You're doing the 3-ball cascade. It's pretty exciting. It will take a while before you're going to want to start to do any tricks. And because this video is pretty short, I'm not going to introduce too many tricks, but I will show a quick little thing you can do, which is just inverting this pattern and doing kind of a reverse cascade or upside down cascade. I don't know the technical juggling term, but instead of juggling underneath, you can juggle on top. Now this might take a little while to figure this out, and the easiest way to do that, one of the first tricks you can learn, is called over the top, where instead of throwing the balls constantly underneath, you just take one and you go over the top. Over the top. And again. And again. The tricks take a little bit more time, but this act of juggling, 3-ball cascade, is really meditative. It's really relaxing. And when you first learn it, you really get a tremendous sense of accomplishment. So I encourage you all to practice. And if enough people watch this, I could put another video up with more tricks. Enjoy, stay safe, and be well.